Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel and Napkin Design. Hey, I have a very deep question for you. Is it mass making or is it busy work? I'll tell you why I ask. I spent yesterday kind of knee deep in my napkin supply, using up bits and pieces. Look at some of this stuff here. And the reason I was doing that is because I was approved for and bidding in an online antique auction. Now, it was a dispersal sale. I guess the man had died. He had been collecting antiques. I don't know the backstory, but let's just say his collection of over 300 coal oil lamps didn't happen overnight. He had scales. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is that a 3-day auction, and I was interested in particular items. I had actually gone to the live preview, or the viewing. No, it's viewing when somebody dies. Anyway, you know what I mean. I went to look at the stuff to see and give it the sniff test. More about that in another video. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So I had to keep an eye on the sale, even though I subscribed to lot closing. And I can't just, not do anything. So I thought, okay, let me tackle my napkins. And just before that, I had done a thrift haul video, and one of the things that I showed in that video was a bag of cardstock scraps that I bought, and I thought, okay, well, maybe these two things are destined to come together. So what I did, well, let me show you the ones I got done. And again, these are just bases. The other thing that I did, but I won't show you in this video, is I prepped some more pages for my ring-bound art journal. And I used bigger napkin scraps there. So the common denominator here is cardstock. And you can, well, maybe you can tell. I don't know if you can tell or not, but some of these, like this particular one, had 1, 2, 3, 4 napkin scraps on it. This is actually not napkin. It was, I think it's a Tim Holtz, one of those tissue roll things that I've been hoarding because, it has a TH on it. I love this napkin so much. I've had it for years. These, of course, are succulents. And again, these are just bases. They need something more. I think that was a Dollar Tree napkin that we've probably all seen. Who doesn't love a lilac? And this beautiful paper, it has a bit of a sheen to it, and it's got that linen look that is so nice. This was multiple things here. 3 or 4 pieces of the Harlequin design, and then those butterflies and those flowers, and then this one, which is also a beautiful one, and several pieces. So, these will probably resurface at some point as I work on them, finish them off. But you can see I had this animal print napkin. So this was like the border here. So these are the ones that I kind of got out of, how did I have this? Oh yeah, I think I had it like this. Yeah. So this cardstock, I showed that in the, well, let me show you a little better piece. I've never seen cardstock like this, but then there are a lot of things I haven't seen. I just like that tone-on-tone texture, and of course there were a lot of these brown ones, and it works in perfectly with animal print. So I used some of the different pieces of that napkin to get a bunch of these done as well. Okay. So I did set aside, as I was going through my napkins, these couple that are sort of have a bee thing going on. And of course I have more of those. So I thought, okay, before I totally clean all this up and put it away and get on to something a little more important perhaps, let me, do I have a green here or something? That's rather bright. That might be better. Anyway, maybe let's just quickly do a little bit more. Now, of course, if you've done anything with napkins, you know that depending on the substrate that you use, that will affect how the final result. So if, now this is not going to be totally accurate because of course the napkin is dry. Well, you can't even really see the thing there, but we will see, and I'll do one of each, I guess, just to prove the point. The lighter the substrate, the more, the less distortion there will be of the napkin design. Now, of course, if the napkin itself is really dark, and I do tend to like those as well, then that too is going to change how this looks. Now, when I was working on the bigger pages for the art journal, I did the first one with my glue stick, and that proved to be a little bit tough because the page was so big and the napkin pieces were so big. Then I switched to my matte medium. Oh, and I wanted to just say that I didn't want to, of course I don't have running water here in my office, my studio, but I didn't want to ruin the brush either. So I just, in fact, overnight kept it in this plastic bag. It's still pliable, and you know, when I'm sure I'm done with it for the day, I will wash it thoroughly. So I just wanted to say that. Typically on a small scale, I just use a glue stick. Now this one is probably pretty well toast. Oh, maybe I could get a little more out of it. So I'm thinking, because this border here has the hives and the bees, what would be good is just to cover the whole thing. Now, let's get some scissors. I'm going to make this just a hair bigger than the napkin, because, you know, if you're slightly crooked or there's some tearing, you might appreciate that you've got a little extra. Or if it touches the paper before you're totally ready and lands where it wasn't supposed to, then, you know, you've got a little bit of leeway. Not that this is rocket science whatsoever. And in fact, sometimes I deliberately tear the end of the edges, just so that it looks, you know, a little more interesting. So let's see if I can squeeze out enough here. Oh yeah, we've got, oh, see, I should have checked. Oh no, that's, this is just a plain cardstock. And of course, I got so glued up that despite washing my hands several times, now one thing, I didn't use that sugar, you know, that sugar scrub or whatever they call it. I didn't try that on there, but it's kind of hard getting that matte medium and glue off your fingers when you've been doing that for hours. Okay, I'm just trying to line up the edge. I was quite pleased with myself in that I had very little tearing yesterday. I do not worry about the wrinkles. In fact, sometimes that can really work in your favor, especially if you want to touch those ridges and those ripples with, you know, some sort of a contrasting or a distressing type ink. Okay, maybe I'll just set that aside for a moment. Typically, I would get right in there and cut, and of course, you know, sometimes the scissors catch on something, and all of a sudden you've got a tear. Okay, now I think, well, let's just prove the point here. Oh, another thing that I did, which is was totally, you know, a time filler, was I went through my napkin drawer. I'll show you. Oh, this is one of those, you know, little plastic drawers out of one of those Michael storage things. I keep it contained by putting these index book pages that I love so much because I like covering them with napkins. Anyway, I'm, as stupid as this sounds, I made extra room in here, not only by using a bunch of napkins, but also by removing all the liners. How's that for a wad? I'll just stop for 1 second and tell you, I absolutely love, love, love this napkin. Seems I have a few of them. And of course, it doesn't have an all-over design, but is that not, I don't know, it's that magnolia and that butterfly and those color combinations. So I will use some, I promise. Now, I have napkins, obviously, that I purchased, and I also had singles that, you know, people have given me. So when you have just one of something, it feels like maybe you should use it like quick, because, you know, there's just one. So anyway, so I did a wee bit of organizing too. Oh, before we go any further, I will say that on some of these, I don't know who gave me this, but I got 2 of them. I'm putting these napkins with my black and white journal stuff. But look at when I separated them, look how usable this second layer is. Now, there might still be a third one here. Incidentally, let me just show you in case you haven't, you know, discovered the beauty and the ease with which you could use napkins. I just grab a piece of Scotch tape and kind of in a corner, stick it to that layer. I should have done it from the other side, not that it's going to matter in the long run, but the tape, of course, will wreck that the side you've stuck it to. But you can see that very easily separates this. So I'm going to keep this sort of ghost part with the good piece, the top piece, just because there are possibilities with that. So I also wanted to say that to you in case you are new and you know, you haven't heard that little tip yet. I was watching, I can't remember what well, maybe it was all about napkins. I was watching Celeste from Woodland Inspired, no, what's it called? Oh, for heaven's sakes. Woodland Inspired, I think. She was doing a video about napkins, and she had gone through hers and organized them so neatly I think she even cut hers into quadrants. And I thought, well, I can learn something from that. So my drawer, as you see, was not all neat and tidy like that, but it's where I was heading. Okay, so on this one, we will see what this green substrate does. Now, I don't, as a rule, like sharp corners, so I always kind of tear a little bit off. Oh, I better get rid of this hard edge here, too. Sometimes they tear quite nicely, and other times it's like a mouse was chewing at the end. Okay, so I'm going to add, now when the napkin piece is bigger, like this is, sometimes I will take a hard lead pencil, now this maybe isn't one of them, and just sort of, you know, maybe make a couple of very faint marks. So faint I can't even see them. To kind of give me, whoops, that just bit the dust. Give me an idea of where I should confine my gluing. To be a little bit short of where it's needed is not good, because then you're trying to get a glue stick under something that's already mostly stuck down, which doesn't work worth a darn. Or you've got an overglued area, and then of course that's not the greatest either. So I'm just going to try to position this relatively closely to the edge. Don't mind, whoops, I could go a little higher. Usually you don't get to do that. It will tear before it'll move or lift. And of course, try not to let it take all day, because, you know, the glue does start drying. Ay, that's pretty crooked. Of course, this is happening because you guys are here. Let's just reapply a bit of glue there, because honestly, I think I've lifted whatever was there. And this is almost toast anyway. Okay, we'll switch to a new glue stick, because this is false economy here to try to think I'm going to get another little speck of glue out of that. Okay, let's try this again. So, trying to get it fairly close to the edge in a relatively straight manner, because of course there's a geometric print here. And if it's crooked, it's going to be very obvious. Okay, you can see I obviously didn't put enough glue down. Exactly what I said not to do. You know, like when you tell your children don't do something, that's exactly what they do. Okay, so I have two options. I could try to get under there, which is going to be a bit of a pain, or I can just rip this back to where it is actually stuck down. Did I tell you how easy it is to work with napkins? Seems to tear better in this direction. Okay, so see, and it's ironic because I don't know if you can see it from your angle, but I can certainly see shiny marks from the glue. Now, I'm not going to worry because it will continue to dry. I could take my, whatever this thing is called, glue picker upper, and try to get rid of some of that right now. I don't know that it's doing anything in this case. And depending on the type of paper, you can also braid the surface of the paper and make what was a small problem you could make into a bigger problem. And trust me, I've done that too. Okay, we will leave this baby here to dry a little bit. Now I suppose what I could also do, what do we have here? I could also put some of this on there. Now that's jaggedy, that's straight. I will just roughen this edge up because, again, I don't want a sharp line there. Now, in some of those examples that I gave you, you saw, now, okay, so I have two options here. I could try to put glue on, maybe this piece is way too big. How would it be if I just did that? Maybe I should just artfully, very artfully, tear this. Anyway, I started to say that I have a couple of options here. I could put the glue on this piece of napkin and hope that it hangs in there. Or I could try to, you know, get my bearings here. Okay, well, it's this point here. Glue it to the edge. I don't like that corner there. Come just to end up past, okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to use those. So it was, oh, I said I wasn't going to use that one again. So this is probably going to be a bit, maybe a little too juicy. Now, I could have put the glue on the napkin. This piece is not that huge. It might have worked. So, I mean, obviously experiment with what the napkins you have. I think some are clearly better quality than others. Oh my goodness, again, in a case like this, it's best to laugh, otherwise you might find yourself crying. Honestly, this typically works a lot better than, than I'm demoing here. Now, I could be using something, a device of some kind, a card or something else to flatten this down. However, I think that would also increase the odds of tearing it. Okay, was there anything else I wanted to show? Oh, I was going to, just as an experiment, show you this one with the honeycomb on yellow and see what the color difference would be. Maybe I'll pick a smaller piece this time. Oops, I tore that bee in half. Sorry, bud. Now that is quite a bright yellow. I think, whoops, wrong one. Let me get that out of my reach, out of my sight. I'm going to just eyeball it. So I think what I liked about this idea that I chose to do yesterday when I was distracted by the sale is the fact that it uses up itty bitty pieces of napkins And you can see that, you know, even the smallest pieces can turn into something quite lovely. I have a bunch of bases prepped. And I'm also using, oh, damn it. I'm also using, guess where there's going to need to be a focal point. I'm also using up those thrifted, and you know, obviously don't have to be thrifted. We all create our own cardstock scraps. And the fact that it is cardstock means that, you know, it's not going to need, and because it's solid, it's not going to need backing. That half B is now totally gone. Okay, I'm not happy about that, but that's why God invented labels. Okay, so you can see that this is considerably more translucent on the lighter color. However, those bees almost look green, so it's still really effective. So let me just start winding up here. We know that can be a process and a half. By cutting around the edge to get a better feel for how this looks. Now, another, I don't know if these scissors, I've been using them for years. Could they be getting dull? The other option too is, that you can use if you don't want to cut, or if you're not getting the results you want by cutting, is to use an emery board or a sanding block or something like that. And of course, your motion would be away, because you don't want to be going against the grain and potentially lifting it up at the edge. Unless, of course, that's what you want to do, to roughen up the edge. Okay, so there's that. Now, we know that, again, this is just the start, although that's pretty darn cute all by itself. So any of these, especially if there's a boo-boo you have to cover, you know, with a label or a fussy cut bumblebee or something. Wouldn't that be cute, a fussy cut bumblebee? There's a few little things that have gone wrong on this one. And what do we have here? Not much to trim. So of course, you know, how you take this to its conclusion is up to you. The tops of the cards could be cut into a tag shape. You could punch a hole, add an eyelet, add a ribbon or a piece of fiber. You could, you know, of course, keep layering, knowing that you've just created a base. But I hope that I have convinced you that it's worth your while. Now, I think because I've been at this for, you know, a fair bit of time already between the 2 days, is that I will save bigger pieces, particularly if I really love them, like this. Put them, you know, kind of group them together in that tray, in that drawer. And, you know, do this again. Now, I could also decide that I am not putting this stuff back in the drawer. I could wad it all up, throw it in the garbage. I think I'll find a happy medium and do some of that. I will throw some of it away, but obviously I'm not throwing a piece of hydrangea away. I'm not throwing these cherries away. You know, if the pattern doesn't really make sense anymore, you know, oh, here's another piece of that other blossom, that thing that I like. And Maybe you'll see it here first. I'm going to, that's not even a napkin. That's some eco dyeing. I'm keeping the big, oh, and here's a lilac that I didn't use. Now, of course, I guess if I was more careful, when I put these, here's a piece of something, something, French coat of arms. I don't know if I like that there. These border pieces, wouldn't this be cute? I have a few of those. So some of these things will go back in the drawer, but maybe I'll, instead of having them languish at the bottom of the drawer, I will keep them at the top as a reminder to use them. Half a butterfly. Anybody need half a butterfly? Here's another piece of a butterfly that's bigger. There's a bit of text, so what? Oh, here's more of that French one that I used on this. Okay, anyway, that's what I wanted to show you today. That even the teeny weeniest bits of napkin can turn into something lovely, and especially if you're distracted, maybe you're trying to do something else, some household chore like cooking, or, you know, checking on the stove, doing laundry, whatever. This is the sort of thing that can make us feel like we're accomplishing something. And, you know, truly, I did. And at the same time, use up those teeny tiniest bits of stuff. So I hope that that has been slightly encouraging to you. And I hope that if you haven't tried using napkins before, that you do, because obviously they are, in my opinion, little tiny pieces of art that are so affordable and so magnificent in elevating one's project. So thanks for being here, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.